The following is a 24 Hours podcast.
And President Clinton. You know, as the 42nd President of the United States, he led the United States through one of the most prosperous times in their history. 22 million new jobs. If anyone understands the importance of a strong economy to building the quality of life that we need to be able to pursue our goals, our objectives, and our dreams, it's President Clinton.
Well, first, I think I should say that this project has some things in common with the work I do in HIV/AIDS, malaria, and building health systems in other parts of the world, and climate change, and one major economic development project I have in Africa, and that is we don't go anywhere we're not wanted, and we're not anti-government. Our goal is to work ourselves out of a job. So we go in and work with government and with all the local private actors, any other businesses that want to work with us, any non-governmental groups that want to work with us. That's the way our foundation operates. And so what we try to do is to come up with a plan with all the other stakeholders and then help them to execute it in the most cost-effective way possible. Oh, if you had a competitive advantage, if you could grow coffee, for example, it was fine they'd come help you grow coffee. But I mean, just generally, the idea that people should be able to feed themselves went totally out of fashion and stayed there for over 20 years. And the whole idea was that the Canadian and American wheat farmers would produce so much food at such a low price, it would be available to everybody, and these people could skip a stage of economic development and poof, become industrial powers. And it was a nutty idea. And that we all stayed with for too long. But if we do this right, I believe that every developing country on earth is going to start now trying to become as self-sufficient as food as they can be. So I think we need that kind of innovation, and if you have partnerships between civil society and government, even in wealthy countries like Canada and the United States, you will get more innovation, and you'll create a culture in which the taxpayers will empower their governments, particularly at the local level, to take chances to solve problems. And I think that's really, really important. It's unrealistic to us to think that we can maintain an advanced economy and a set of government programs over decades and not have to be innovative in the implementation of today's challenges.
The most obvious that comes to mind is the oil industry. I mean, if you think about the oil industry in terms of what we're doing, I mean, they operate in many of the same places and in much the same way as the mining industry, and they're a heck of a lot bigger. So at the appropriate time, I'm sure we'll be approaching them to talk to them about the sort of things we're doing. But it doesn't even have to be resources. You can think about other industries. Think about tourism. It operates on a global scale. No reason why they can't get together, or parts of it can come together to address various social issues. And it doesn't even have to be global. It can be regional or local. If you think about some of the issues, some of the social issues we have right here in Vancouver, homelessness and affordable housing, there is no reason why certain business sectors can't come together as part of an overall group to address these issues. It's not rocket science. All it requires is a little bit of vision and just a lot of leadership, I think.
In my country, you could get credit for being a good citizen if you got up and went to work every day, and you took care of your family, and you paid your taxes, and you made reasonably informed decisions at election time. You showed up and voted. And what I'm trying to convince the American people of is that they have to add another element to the very idea of citizenship in an interdependent world. They have to do something to advance the public interest as private citizens. And I was terrified this year that because of all the turmoil, because this happened just before Congress voted the first time on the financial assistance package, which did not pass until the second go-around, that we wouldn't do very well. And we raised $8 billion worth of commitments that will, when fully implemented, benefit 160 million people around the world. So I think most people who are doing this kind of work get it, that you just can't You may have to trim your sails a little bit, but you can't crawl in a hole and forget about the rest of the world, even in tough economic times, because they are your future. That is your market. They're your customers. They're your environment, and you can't run away from them. So my gut is that over the long run, you know, there may be some, as Frank said, out of fear, short-term retrenchment, but over the long run, I think this corporate social responsibility thing is going to be seen as important as any other part of a business. It'll be like breathing, and when that happens, we'll be living in a better world. We haven't had new jobs because we didn't embrace energy independence with domestic production, clean energy, and energy efficiency. The third question is, who's going to really do something about healthcare, because it is continuing to eat us alive. We spend 16.5% of income on healthcare. You spend 11 in our dollar terms. We spend $200 billion more a year just on our excessive administrative costs because of the way we finance it. That is twice what it would cost us to insure everybody. And finally, who would do the best job of restoring America's position in the world? We will be forced, no matter who wins this election, to reduce our troop levels in Iraq because we have just about broken our military, and because we want to save the enterprise in Afghanistan, and because the Iraqis are ready for us to go home in an orderly fashion that doesn't allow collapse in the country. So that's what you should be looking for. Unless some totally unforeseen development happens, Senator Obama will win this election because of the dominance of the economic issues, and because America is culturally changing and becoming more democratic. We're radically more diverse racially, religiously, and culturally, and we're more communitarian, not necessarily more liberal, but more communitarian. We believe more than we were. So the American people, our conservative party is the only one in the world that thinks that deficits don't matter.
Vancouver.24hours.ca